Hi, I'm Chad Hoffman. I'm Executive Director at Habitat for Humanity. I'm so glad you're able to join us this evening. We're here with Brianna, Marrissette, and her family, her two kids, Amira and Dylan. We're excited. We'll have them on camera in a minute. I'll call you guys out here. I know they're ready to be seen by the world, which is exciting. We're so happy to have another house that we're able to dedicate. Brianna has been wonderful through this whole process. It has been a challenge, obviously, with COVID and not only in delays in building, but materials and having volunteers on site. And it's just been a wonderful experience to have her and her patience with us. Just a few notes about Brianna before I talk a little bit more about Habitat. And Brianna came out on the first day with her family, and they all had matching t-shirts, and they were really excited to be here, which was great, and just a lot of manpower to help us get started on the first day. And then taking off work on Mondays. We built on a Monday. We had a wonderful sponsor, Big Grove Tavern, and it was easier for them to have staff on site on Mondays because they're so busy on the weekends, and for her to be able to take off work and come out on Mondays and still help build her house and put in over those 100 hours of time to build walls and roofs and everything in between. It was great, and that's part of Habitat, is that it's a hand up, not a handout. So we're building alongside our homeowners. We're bringing community members together. We're just putting God's love into action, and we're building that hope at the end of the day. So to have Brianna here this evening, to have our sponsor here, which we'll introduce in a minute, it's just been great. So we're sorry that we can't have everybody present on this evening, but because of COVID and safety protocols, we are doing a much smaller dedication, but it's wonderful. This is one of the most joyous times of the year for Habitat, or always to have a house and be ready to have somebody move in and transform their lives. So when I talk about life transformation, there's so much value in a house. It helps health outcomes. It helps kids in terms of grades. So kids, you got to get better grades now that you have a house. It's easier to study here. There are less interaction with law enforcement due to home ownership. So there's just so much positivity here that happens. So with that transformation, and on that note, I want to give Brianna the keys.
Thank you so much.
So with the keys, we hope that she transforms her life and continues to transform her life. Those changes have already started, and this house is just one piece of that helps her move forward further with her life. In addition, I want to give her a Bible.
Thank you.
And quote just one scripture verse, Hebrews 3:4. For every house is built by someone, but God is the builder of everything. So I hope we keep that in mind, that we'll always have a higher power that's leading us and bringing us forward in life. So with that, I want to turn the mic over to Brianna and let her say a few words and bring her two children out, her two wonderful children, Amir and Dylan. Come out, guys.
So shy. Hi, my name is Brianna. This is my house. I want to talk a little bit about the process. I first want to give a big thanks to Habitat, my sponsor, Big Tavern Grow, my family, friends, and all the volunteers and donors that helped me make this happen. It was a good experience and something that I'll remember forever. I remember when I first came to apply for Habitat, it was a big line. I think it was about 15 or 20 people. I just knew I wasn't going to get called to have this opportunity, but I got that call and we started the process from there.
So maybe talk a little bit. So you applied at the Restore, and we used to apply in person, so there was a line of 15 to 20 people?
In front of me, yeah. Yes, there was 15 to 20 people in front of me, and they announced that it would be first come, first serve. So I was just like, I should have got here earlier, but luckily I got chose.
So we were so excited to choose Brianna for the process, and she obviously had a wonderful application that helped her move forward and felt like she was the right person to move forward. Talk just a little bit about the build, like what happened on the build side and how you felt supported and what went on in some of those days, or your most fun experience too.
Okay. I would say my most fun experience would be just meeting new people from the community and the process from the beginning to end. I remember the first day was so hot out and we were lifting walls. It was for everyone to be out there helping me with a smile on their face.
maybe just talk real briefly about what has led up to tonight and how you felt coming into this evening.
First of all, I was really nervous. I was, I don't know, I'm always nervous for presentations, but I'm so happy that the moment is finally here. Like COVID hit when we first started the process, so it slowed a little bit of things down. Some of my bill days were getting pushed back, and some of the supplies were on back order because of COVID, of course. But I'm just finally happy to be here.
Yeah. Brianna makes a wonderful point. Her patience was amazing. She was very understanding whenever we did have delays. She did have to wait longer than we normally would with the Habitat house. So we really appreciated that. And just the ability to take some time off work and still come help us, and such a hard worker. Our Restore staff, she came into our Restore and volunteered quite a bit too to get her hours in, and they missed her and wished her well on this evening before that we left for the dedication. So she is just wonderful, and we're so glad she had this house. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Jim Mueller. He's Habitat's Family Services Manager. He's going to bless the house and have a few words for Brianna as well.
So dedications are probably the best part of working at Habitat. It's a celebration, but it's also a time to pause and reflect. So I first met Brianna 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, and there was already a group of homebuyers in place. And so I don't know if you remember, but our first meeting was about budgeting. And the group looked at me kind of funny because I quoted Alice and the Queen from Through the Looking Glass. And I said that Alice said that there's no point in wishing for impossible things. And the Queen said, well, I dare say you haven't had much practice. So we talked about how to break our financial goals down into attainable goals and to break them into steps so that they weren't so overwhelming. So that first group was incredibly tightly knit, and they took care of each other from the beginning to the end. And at some point, I feel like they adopted me as well. So I had thought I'd be helping other people, and it turns out that other people helped me. And I also remember about Brianna that during the process, there were times I had to call her and ask for more information or give her bad news. And without fail, every single time, Brianna said, it's okay, Jim. Everything's gonna be okay. So sometimes I feel like this whole process is overwhelming and impossible. It depends on so many factors: our construction staff, Restore staff, office staff, customers, our board of directors, our volunteers, donors, and the cities of Urbana and Champaign. I can't name everybody because the circle is constantly expanding. There are so many points of potential failure, but here we stand, and I believe it's the 118th home for Habitat. So everything does work out in the end. Yes. And Brianna, as you face problems in life, I'm gonna ask you to remember what you've always told me. It's okay. You're gonna be okay. So I think what today is a house is tomorrow a home. And I think we started asking this house to be blessed 2 years ago. And I think that this house has already been blessed. So my prayer is simple. I pray that the blessings continue and that we're wise enough to recognize them when they happen. So I'll just close with a brief Bible quote. All things are possible to one who believes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. That was wonderful, and we're so glad to be blessing Brianna this evening. There have been so many supporters that have helped make this house possible, and I can't begin to thank all of them, including the people who came out on multiple occasions to help build our house, all the Habitat staff that contributed along the way. It's been a wonderful blessing to have Brianna move in, but I'm going to try to thank a few of them now. First off, I want to thank the city of Urbana. They donated this lot to us through a blight reduction program that allowed us to build on this lot. Then they were also able to fund some of the building expenses through their Urbana Home Consortium. that allows us to build on a consistent basis. So I'm so excited that we have that support. Just a few others, Barham Benefit Group supports us, Blogger Concrete, donating concrete, Consolidated Communication, wiring the house so it's internet ready and the kids can be on their phones, right? DuPont, who helped supply foam to insulate the house. Levelor, who provided all the blinds. Matt DeFonis Realty, who's off camera right now but is filming for us and donated his time. Rector Construction, who did the roofing. Richards Building Supply, who helped with shingles. Schneider Electric, who provided all the panels and some of the wiring. Slumberland Furniture, who provided beds. Stevens Industries, who provided the cabinets. Texture Homes, who provided gifts for housewarming. And Whirlpool, who donates all the appliances. Those are just a few of the supporters we have on our house. And we very much appreciate their time, talents, and treasures. To top that all off, the biggest supporter and largest supporter was Big Grove Tavern. They were instrumental in bringing this house to reality. They've sponsored at a $50,000 level, and those kind of funds help us build materials, help us buy materials that can't be donated, help us move through the process and make sure this house is a reality. So we're so appreciative of them. We're going to take a little walk now over towards Mike and Karen Koulis, who are representatives of Big Grove, and they're going to help Brianna cut the ribbon.
Hi, I'm Mike Koulis, and this is my wife Karen. We decided we wanted to sponsor a Habitat house for the second time. We actually did one, I'm not even sure when, I think about 2003. And it's been great to do it again. It was a very interesting experience. Who can plan in this era? But building this house has been a pleasure for Karen and me, all the Big Grove builders, the people from Big Grove, and the last minute help that had to be found on a couple of occasions. It was a pleasure to work alongside Brianna. She worked extremely hard. Every time she was done with something, I would see her looking for something else to do. And that was in July with the sun coming down, and it was inspirational. I didn't want her working harder than I was. They were here, her family, she and her family were here every day we were, and then more than that, put a great deal of effort into building their home. We all worked through the very hot days in July, and it was hard work, but it was also immensely satisfying. I would like to thank the professional builders for teaching me how to do many things I had never done before, and for correcting my mistakes when I wouldn't notice. It is very satisfying to be part of building a house. It's especially so when many people contribute, and it is most meaningful because we had the chance to work on the house with the new family. Thank you.
I'm going to clap for that. Thank you, guys.
I have one last thing for your house, and that is the scissors.
All right.
Then go ahead and pull it off when you're...
All right.
Well, thanks to Mike and Brianna. This is a wonderful evening, and I have one little bit more of good news to end the evening. We were talking a little earlier today, Mike, Karen, and I, and Mike has stepped forward to sponsor another house. He had such a great experience, so he's going to be sponsoring another house coming up this spring with Big Grove Tavern again, and we're very excited about that, and just paying it forward again has been a tremendous thing. So Brianna was the start, and it's going to continue, and even before Brianna, we're glad to have such supporters like this, and glad that everybody was able to tune in this morning or this evening, and glad that we were able to get Brianna and her family here. So thank everyone. I'm glad we could have such a wonderful event.